Hi everybody, Penny here. Welcome to my kitchen. So today we are making an well over 200-year-old recipe called 1, 2, 3, 4 cake. And the reason it's called that is similar to pound cake. Like pound cake is a pound of this and a pound of that and a pound of something else. Well, this is 1, 2, 3, 4 cake. So you have 1 cup of butter and you end up with 2 cups of sugar. You have 3 cups of flour and 4 eggs. So that's the base of the cake. After that, the ingredients are all up to you. Now, if you have self-rising flour, which is not very popular in Canada, but it is in other parts of the world, then you just need your 3 cups of flour. Because we don't, or I don't, have self-rising flour, you can buy it here. You need to add a little bit of baking powder. So we're going to add 1 tablespoon of baking powder and 1 teaspoon of salt. And that would be the same thing as self-rising flour. Then we are going to add 1 cup of liquid. So we're going to use milk. And then you add a little bit of vanilla if you like. And we're going to go through some other ingredients as well that we're going to do. So you can do this traditionally. Apparently it was meant for like a 3-tier cake. So if you do 3 smaller round cake pans or smaller square cake pans, it would do 3 layers. And the 3 layers would be in the oven at 350 between 20 and 25 minutes. A 2-layer cake, which is normally what we have, like for birthday cakes and things like that, 350 again for all of it, between 25 and 30 minutes. A 9 by 13 cake pan would be between 35 and 40 minutes. A round bunt pan that has the hole in the middle would be about 45 minutes. Some of them are a little wider, a little higher than others, so you need to watch that. But we're going to turn this today into 3 different kinds of muffins. And you'll get at least 2 dozen muffins, if not a little bit more. And they're going to be in the oven for, between 15 and 20 minutes. So I have the 1 cup of butter. I melted it a little bit, not all the way through in the microwave because it came right out of the fridge. Caitlin has got the 4 eggs over on this side. She's going to crack those into that bowl. And while she does that, I'm going to get our flour mixture. So remember, when you're doing your flour, you scoop it up and you don't shake it or anything because you don't want your flour to settle. If your flour settles into the cup, you're going to end up with too much by weight and your cake will be too heavy. Now this is a scratch cake, so it's not necessarily going to be light and fluffy like the cake mixes. But this is a fantastic thing that you can whip together if you've got butter, eggs, flour, some kind of liquid. You could even use water, a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of sugar. Most everybody has that in the house anyway. So we're going to do our 3 cups of flour. And again, don't shake it. Just take your knife and run it across till it's filled and then run it back. And so you've got an even 1 cup. So that's 2. And here we go with 3. 3 cups of flour. So that's good. We'll push that out of the way. While we do that, then of course, Caitlin, you want to break those eggs into the bowl? We're going to do our 1 tablespoon of baking powder. Sounds like a lot, but 1 tablespoon is actually the equivalent of 3 teaspoons. So you don't normally end up with 1 tablespoon of baking powder in a cake mix. But like I said, this is from scratch, so it's all good. And we're going to do 1 teaspoon of salt. There we go. So I'm just going to whisk that rather than sifting it. If you wanted to sift it, you certainly can. But basically sifting is removing the lumps, making sure there's no clumps and making sure that your baking powder and your salt are all evenly distributed within your flour. So that's our flour, our dry ingredients done. We're going to mix that alternately with our milk. And in with the milk, I am going to put 2 teaspoons of vanilla. You don't have to put this in. You can put in whatever flavoring. Maybe you like almond. Maybe you like lemon. Whatever floats your boat. Whatever you like, you put it in. Okay, so now I'm gonna start beating. Oh no, don't mix them up because we have to put them in one at a time. Just leave them like that. That's good. Okay, so I'm gonna start beating the creaming in the butter, and we're eventually gonna add our 2 cups of sugar. You want to come down this side, people? Sorry for the noise. So this is beating up very quickly because it was really soft as I had it in the microwave. Now, people, we need 2 full cups of sugar. Full cups. You might want to use this to fill it up with. You need 2 of those really full. So once we get all this mixed up, I'm going to do a half a dozen jam-filled muffins. We'll show you that. Then we're going to do a half a dozen chocolate chip muffins. And then we're going to do about a dozen of the chocolate chip will already be in there. And then we've got raisins, apricots, and chopped walnuts. So it's going to be really, really good. Okay, pour it in. There you go. One more. You really want to whip your sugar and butter mixture for about 3 to 4 minutes. So rather than you just staring at me for 3 to 4 minutes, we're going to take a quick little break. Okie dokie. So as you can see, our butter and sugar is nice and fluffy. So now we're going to add the eggs one at a time. And the reason for that is because you want them to incorporate really, really well into the batter. And if you put them all in at the same time, it's very difficult to do that. It will happen eventually, but it will take much, much longer to do it if you put it all in all at the one time. And again, I apologize, it's going to get really loud. But here we go. So we're just going to do one. Incorporate that really, really well. And we'll do 2. Make sure you get to the bottom of the bowl. Get all the eggs. There we go. And that's our 3rd one. There we go. Turn it up just a little. Okay, so now we're just going to go around the edges of the bowl and get them to come down just to clean up and all down into the bowl so we don't miss anything. There we go. It almost looks like icing. It's so light, almost like Dream Whip. That's pretty cool. All right, so now we have our flour and our baking powder and our salt, and we have our milk with the vanilla in it, which is why the milk looks a little darker. So we're going to do 1/3 of the flour, half the milk, 1/3 of the flour, the other half of the milk, and then the final 1/3 of the flour. That's how it gets mixed together. Doing it, if you were to put all of it in either one first, it wouldn't mix properly and you wouldn't get a nice texture. So that's how we're going to do it. So we're just going to do about 1/3 of the flour. And of course you want to do that on low. There we go. So we're going to get that all incorporated. Then we're going to do half the milk. There, now you can turn it up a little bit. Turn it back down on low. I'm just going to put in another third of the flour. There we go. Make sure it's on low because you don't want it to go everywhere. All incorporated. Now we're going to add in the rest of our milk. Put in the rest of our flour. Once that gets incorporated a little bit, then we're going to turn it up. There we go. Making a little mess, that's okay. Make sure you get to the bottom of the bowl. Okay, now I'm just going to take a second and I'm going to scrape down the sides because we want to make sure that we get everything in there. Thank you, Caitlin. There we go. Oh, that looks wonderful. Now I'm just going to put this back on low because I want the rest of that batter to come off the beaters. And then very, 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 very slowly lift up. And that's most of the batter. Let's just have a taste. That's yummy. That one's for Daddy. Okay, so we have our wonderful batter. It's very well incorporated. And Caitlin has done our muffin pans. She's lined them with our muffin cups. So, if you fill up these muffin cups, this rises a lot. So we're not going to completely fill the muffin cups. We're going to use one small scoop. I use a ice cream scooper for this. Just one even scoop, not a heaping scoop. We're going to do that in 6 of them. Then we're going to put in some jam. Is it good, Caitlin? Is it good? Yeah. And then I'm going to top them with a little bit more batter so the jam ends up in the middle. So there'll be a little surprise. Okay, so now I'm going to use another little scoop. Sorry. Okay, we're going to use another little scoop, and this is a 1 tablespoon scoop. The other scoop is a 3 tablespoon scoop. But the reason I'm going to use this one is because it can dispense the jam quite nicely. But you only want about half of that, like maybe 1 teaspoon worth of jam. You don't want a whole thing of jam. There we go. That's probably a little too much in that one, but that's okay. It's all good. It will still be delicious. And there we go. And you can use your favorite jam. It doesn't have to be strawberry. It can be blueberry, apricot, raspberry, whatever. Whatever you like, you can use. Can't seem to get down. There we go. All right. Caitlin, he has to wait till he's done the video. So I'm just going to push that down a little bit. There we are. And put that in the sink. And then I'm going to put a little bit more, like a half a scoop on top. You just want to cover up the jam. No, we're finished. And that way, cover up the jam. Oops, that's a little too much there. So when they go to bite into the muffin, the cupcake, we'll have a little jam surprise, which will be cute and delicious. Much. All right, so now, don't throw this away. Now I'm going to put in about 1 cup of chocolate chips. Now you can put in as much or as little as you like, but this is about one good cup of chocolate chips. I'm just going to add that in. And this is the type of thing that you can make in advance and then put it in the freezer. And the next time you have company come over, or you're going somewhere for like a potluck, or you know, you just feel like something a little sweet, just take it out of the freezer. It's all good. I have not tried it, but I suspect you could even freeze the dough, the batter. So if anyone out there does try that, let me know how it works. But I haven't yet to try that. Okay, so that's the first pan done. Now we're going to get the second pan. And the second pan, we are going to throw in our chopped apricots. These were actually whole dried apricots, and some walnuts, whole walnuts, and then some raisins. And I put in about a tablespoon of flour in a food processor and then chopped it all up. So that's how I got that. So if you don't have already chopped, then you can easily do it that way. Or you can use currants, you could use dried blueberries, dried cranberries, whatever you like, it's all good. Okay, let's see. That looks really cool. Okie dokie. So I'm going to fill up this pan. Then we're going to put them in the oven for between 15 to 20 minutes. Then they have to sit in the pans for about 5 minutes before you take them out to cool. And once they cool, we'll be back.
Go.
Hi everybody, back again. So we ended up with 2.5 dozen cupcakes, muffins. It's all good and they are delicious. I have eaten one of them already. So here we have 6 of our chocolate chip. We have 6 of our everything, chocolate chips, walnuts, raisins, apricots. That's one of the ones that I ate and it was delicious. And here we have our jam filled. So I'm just going to take one of the jam filled and unwrap it. There we go. And they ended up taking, because I had 2 pans in the oven at the same time, I think was part of it, they ended up taking between 20 and 25 minutes. So watch your oven. Every oven's a little different. And oh, look at that. Isn't that cool? Look at the jam in the middle. And nobody would know. It's so good. Yay, look how fluffy. Oh, it's so good. Okay. They're delicious. So let's just talk about it again for a little bit. If you're doing 3 pans, you want it in the oven for between 20 to 25 minutes. 2 pans, you want between 25 and 30. A 9 by 13, you want between 35 and 40. And a bundt pan, be careful, because the bundt pans are often, some of them are higher and narrow, and some of them are wider and lower. So about 40 minutes. And we got 2.5 dozen muffins, probably because we added the extra ingredients, which increased the volume, but you'll at least get 2 dozen muffins. And between 15, 20, depending on your oven and how many you have in there, maybe even 25 minutes. So in every case, you're gonna test it with a toothpick, and if it comes out clean, you're done. Cool in the pans for the cupcakes about 5 minutes before you put them on a cooling rack. And in every other case, cool them in the pan for about 10 minutes before you put it out on a wire rack. The liquid, you can play with this. The 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 cup of butter, 2 cups of sugar, 3 cups of flour, and 4 eggs is just the base. Then you want at least 1 cup of liquid. It could be milk, could be water, could be orange juice, could be apple juice, could be buttermilk, could be yogurt, could be half and half. Play with it, see what you have in the house, and make it your own. You can also add different flavorings. I used vanilla. You could use almond, you could use like rum extract, you could use all kinds of things, coconut extract, whatever you like, you throw in there. You could also put in spices, maybe a bit of cinnamon, some cloves, some allspice, maybe a bit of cardamom might be nice. Just whatever you like. Don't be afraid to give it a go. And of course, we added dry fruit and nuts, so any of that type of thing you could easily do. Also remember, if you're not using self-rising flour, to add in 1 tablespoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of salt to your flour, and give that a good whisk through. And then make sure, sorry, that's the dishwasher beeping. Then make sure when you add your flour and your milk, or whatever liquid you're using, 1/3 flour, half the milk, another third of the flour, the other half the milk, and then the last third of the flour. If you want to make a chocolate cake, you can add about 1/2 cup of cocoa to your dry ingredients, but then to your liquid, you want to add another 1/2 cup. So 1/2 cup of water, or whatever it is you're using, or even in the case of chocolate, you could add 1/2 cup of cold coffee, because coffee really enhances the taste of chocolate, and it's so delicious. Of course, when you fill them, like we talked about, don't fill them totally full if you want to put icing on the top, because you need to leave that little bit of room for icing. So I hope you give it a go. I really enjoyed it. I hope you're having a wonderful Easter with your family. Maybe if you've teamed up with another household, your bubble. Different places in Canada have different COVID gathering rules and regulations and restrictions. So we're going to cook our turkey breast and a bit of Jig's dinner tomorrow, and it's just going to be the 3 of us, and that's just fine. But wherever you are, whoever you're with, I hope you have a wonderful and a happy Easter. Bye. Enjoy.